Hello there. Today I want to talk to you about habits, specifically food habits. In the world of nutrition, in the world of transformation, oftentimes we get super caught up in the nuts and bolts of things like how many calories are you eating? What's your macro split? Are you doing high carb or low carb? Are you doing little salt? Are you doing no sugar? We get so caught up in these little things, we oftentimes overlook a foundational principle to the one and done, which is harnessing the power of habit. To illustrate for you how powerful habit is, I'd like you to consider where you are right now, physically speaking, not location. Consider your body, consider how it looks, how it feels, whether you like it or not. Your body right now is simply a culmination of the habits that you do it day in and day out. Oftentimes, if we haven't taken the time to consider those habits, it's the things that we do the most mindlessly. But where do these food habits come from? They don't just appear in a vacuum. Our food habits, much like our regular habits, are all reflections of things that we learn from our caregivers. So in regards to food, you might consider, what foods did your caregivers eat when they felt they earned it? What foods did they eat when they felt they deserved it? And what foods did they feel like if they didn't eat it, it would be a massive waste or a massive missing out? In my own life, I had several habits that I identified early on that I knew I needed to harness, to tweak and fix. And one of a memory that will stick with me forever are the fond memories that I had going to movie theaters as a kid with my mom. And what we would do, now keep in mind my mom was a little bit quirky, what we would do, she would get us to the theater anywhere from 30 minutes to an hour early. We would get the largest popcorn they had, because those you got free refills. And then she would usually get herself like a Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke, whatever, and then I would get a Coke. And we would sit down. Of course, the movie was not going to be playing for an hour. And so a lot of times we couldn't even go sit in the actual theater itself. We would sit outside, we would eat our popcorn, and we would just chat. And then when the movie let out and they let us in, we would relocate into the actual theater and we would keep eating and keep chatting. And then when we ran out of popcorn, she would send me back up to the front counter and I would get a refill. And then we would eat that. And I'm sure there are times when we got more than one refill. Who knows? Now, just so you know, if you were to do this like once a year, that would not hijack your diet. If like every once a year you went and you just pigged out on popcorn at the movies, that would not hijack your diet at all. It might give you a stomach ache, but it wouldn't hijack your diet. However, if this is something that you do multiple weekends in a month, that's where the trouble starts to come into play, right? And so looking back on that now as an adult, I can see that for what it really was. What it was is that my mom, she doesn't live a stressful life now, but at the time she was a single mom working a lot of temporary jobs. And so she was stressed. And so taking her daughter to the theater and enjoying some popcorn, a relatively inexpensive treat, that was an escape. That was a way to connect with me. That was a way to escape for her. And so that is something that, as I started my own transformation, I had to really delve into and see like, okay, what meanings did I make of this? How does that affect me? Anything from what a serving size is, like with snack foods, do I get a serving size or do I always take the whole bag and sit down and just eat? Obviously that was the second thing, that I would do that more often than not. And I had to fix that. Now, as I moved through my transformation, and today I can proudly say that I live in the body that I want to live in, and I still eat popcorn. Huzzah! So it is possible to do that. It just takes some intention. We're going to talk about how to harness your habits next week. But for today, what you can do with this information today is this. I would like you to get out your transformation journal. And if right now you're thinking, Sarah, I don't have a transformation journal, I invite you to get one. It doesn't have to be something you write in every single day, but it's good to have something where you are writing epiphanies, lessons, things that you learn about yourself, putting them down on paper in one little journal that you can come back to is super powerful. So I invite you to do that. If you do not have a journal, just grab a piece of paper. What I would like you to do today is write down 1 to 3 habits that you observed from your parents that affect you the most today with your eating. Or it can be anything else, but if you're watching this, you probably are wanting to change something about your eating habits. So 1 to 3 habits that you learned from your parents that are affecting you the most today. And if you would like to share 1 or 3 of those in the comments below, definitely do that. We can chat about it and connect over it. With that, I will leave you with one quote, one of my favorite quotes about habits. This is by a guy named Will Durant, and he said, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." Thank you so much for your attention. We'll talk soon. Have a great day.